Yisrael, Hayamin Ethmate Shal Yehuda, Tehila Yahweh, Tehila Yahweh Ben Yahweh. Good morning, family. My name is Achazyah Yisrael, and I exist from the tribe of Yehuda. Praise Yahweh, and praise Yahweh Ben Yahweh. This morning is a different morning. And it's a different morning because I feel like I have to step back from making videos a while just so that I can get more in tune with the mission at hand, which is following the example of Abba. I feel like I've been holding on to an old part of my life that I need to let go. It's time for the full leap of faith of letting it all go. And it's not drugs or anything. It's just a bad character trait that I had for many years that I need to just, let go and take that leap of faith and just dive deeper into the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as the prophets were able to dive deeper into the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. From studying the characteristic traits of the prophets, these were men who prioritized the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, as well as building an intimate relationship with Yahweh. Some may argue that they were divinely created for that purpose, which could be true. But I feel like I'm divinely created for that purpose. So I am going to step back until I can master perfection. And I'm going to still be posting up like the videos for like the DVDs and stuff like that. And every now and then I may drop a short just so y'all can see, where I'm at in this progress of becoming perfect. But I don't want to, I no longer want to be no type of hypocrite and speaking this truth, which is perfect. I want to be utterly clean in perpetuity of charity, magnanimity, magnificent, benevolent, benignant. I want to be divine. And I feel like I have to take a step back in order to walk forward. So this will be the last class I'll be giving until I can come to that place that I need to be at, that Yahweh is calling me to be at. So I'm going to be redoing Hosea chapter 10, and I'm going to do all of Hosea chapter 10, verse 1 for us today. But before we do that, we must stand and face the east and offer up our tefillah, which is the Lord's Prayer, in our Ibri Safa, our Hebrew language. Tefillah, Avenu Sabat Shemayim, Yikadar Shemeakar, Tavo Makut Teakar, Yer Serizonkar, Kivash Shemayim Kain Ba'adet, Alekim Kain Hutain Lanu Hayom, Muslak Lanu, Akarte Enu, Kimochaso Kim, Kamana Enu, Lakotain Lanu, Beal Tefienu, Ladeni Sayon, Kakal Seinu, Minhara, Kilaka, Malaha, Begidara, Beteferet, Leolame, Olamin, Sila. Praise Yahweh. So in Hosea chapter 10, verse 1, it reads, Israel is an empty vine. He bringeth forth fruit unto himself. According to the multitude of his fruit, he hath increased the altars according to the goodness of his land. And they have also made goodly images. Now, Israel, from the Hebrew text 3478, Yud Sin Resh Aleph Lamed, he will rule as Yahweh. See, that is our destiny. We will rule as Yahweh. Isn't that powerful? Check this out. Another root of this word is to prevail and have the power as a prince, and for our Hebrewis's, a princess. We shall have the strength, which is Aleph Lamed from the Hebrew reference for 10, as a mighty man, especially as the Almighty Yahweh. A Yil, Aleph Yud Lamed, is anything strong, specifically a chief of political status, rulers, a pilaster, as a strong support. Now, a pilaster is a strong support. We're going to have a strong foundation, right? Now, it's kind of a shocker to know that everything we are destined to be as the children of Israel and how we've been brought to a status of complete dependency, but it's only because we have forgotten the law. And as is prophesied in the book of Isaiah, because we forgot the law, we have gone into captivity and our honorable men are dried up. So, and that's when it dawned on me. Our honorable men are dried up and we need our honorable man back. And I want to be that honorable man, or one of the series of the honorable man that helps get Israel to our Exodus stage. And in order to do that, you must be honest with yourself. I don't want to be like the other teachers that teach the word but are not perfect. You know, I want to be perfect, and we all can be perfect because it's nothing but following the law. So that comes with reading more, understanding more, but most importantly, applying more. So it says, what a shocker to see that a people who is blessed to rule as the Creator rules be allowed to be so devastated. A people who are supposed to be mighty chiefs of political significance and most influential government are a people who have said our hope is lost and we are cut off for our parts. And we can find that in Ezekiel 37, verse 11. From being a people with the strong support of Yahweh to a people forgotten by Yahweh until the coming of the Ben Elohim, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, the first man amongst us since Adam, who was the son of Yahweh, Luke 3:38. But we are given a second chance to rule again if we walk in the law of Yahweh and do well. And, you know, a part of that is looking at, again, we have to be converted, So, and converted, is to be in full harmony with. Shalom, family. Thank you for chiming in. It's to be in full harmony. I want to be wise. But wisdom can only be taught when you put yourself in a humble state. A haughty man can't learn nothing. He could be in a room full of scholars, but he can't learn nothing because a haughty spirit thinks he knows it all. He thinks he's already at this stage in the game, and that's not true. Because if we was already at the stage of that game, we'll be able to reduplicate Yahweh's work. That's why we have to follow the example, and the proof of this is Acts chapter 2, verse 44, where it says we have all things in common. So if we can't have all things in common and be able to develop the nation as Yahweh Ben Yahweh was able to develop the nation, then that means we are missing the underlying support of righteousness, because it's righteousness that exalts a nation. And let's be real, family, as a nation, we are not exalted right now. So I'm not going to sit here anymore and pretend that I'm this most righteous teacher by, giving these classes on these most holy words, hoping to make it an enjoyable food for their mind. And I know I'm supposed to be righteous through and through, 110%. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to step back. I've already been working on the definitions of perfection and charity. I got to continue it so that I can master it. So that when I step back into the teaching role, you will be able to see that this is possible. Because I know it's possible. Praise Yahweh. Now it says Israel was an empty vine, right? Now empty is the primitive root to pour out, that is an empty in the figurative sense of depopulated. And by the analogous sense, is to spread out as a fruitful vine of making empty. Now, pour in is, in a parable like state is to send a liquid, fluid, or anything that's in loose particles flowing or falling as from one container to another. What is that an example of? That's an example of descending, where we need to ascend. We have been descending. And we need to change this. See, this is describing the process of the head becoming the tail and the tail becoming the head. See, we used to be the head of civilization when we were the Adamites. But then after our fall in the garden from the philosophies being changed up here, we have descended to now where the chief builders of this world have put in the zenith block at the bottom, when Yahweh Ben Yahweh came to put us back up top as the all-seeing eye. So we have to understand, like they give an example, Rome wasn't built overnight. Neither was the world made in one day. But we need to understand that all of this took place over a spread of time. Spread is to draw, stretch, or open out, especially over a flat surface, something rolled or folded, often followed by out, and to distribute over a greater or relatively great area of space and time, as well as to display or exhibit the full extent of, and to set out in full. We have fallen from the status of ruler to dependent, a people whose intelligence was so brilliant to the extent that Yahweh gave us the privilege of naming the animals when we were the Adamites, are now a people of functional illiteracy, in many cases due to not being able to read for 310 years of physical bondage. And it's easier to rule over fools who have forgotten the importance of Yahweh's law than who not only forgotten about the law, but how to understand and obey them. Now, out is to a state of exhaustion, extinction, or depletion, and or into a state of neglect, of disuse, variance, or unfriendliness. A lot of our people show characteristic traits of unfriendliness because our minds have been greatly vexed, meaning vexed mean greatly irritated. And we don't know why we're irritated. We're irritated because we're living in a false existence, meaning when you don't know who you are as a nation of people, then it's impossible for you to actually live a life of genuineness. It's impossible. You're in the matrix. When you're stuck in the matrix, you're not living your real life. And when you've been programmed to have a minimalistic, unproductive, unresourceful, unguided type lifestyle, and you have been put in these falling apart structures called the projects that the European men have set up since the 30s, called redlining district, where they would not allow blacks, Hispanics, and other dark ethnicities to buy houses because they wouldn't allow them to get the home warranty and insurance, so that the low middle class European man or woman who was getting into the industrialization of America would be able to afford the new houses first. And then they put you in these broken down departments of divisions called projects. That's where it came from. It is a project of what can we do to turn these group of people against these group of people against themselves. Well, let's dumb down the education. Let's make them ignorant. It's easy to rule over fools. Let's also name the schools they'll go to after slave owners, keeping their mind in a subliminal captivity. Let's also just tell them that you was a slave, you Kuta Kinte, when you know you're not Kuta Kinte. Everybody in Africa ain't African. Africa wasn't called Africa until it was conquered by the Roman general Africanos. So, It's things like this that we need to understand. It's all part of the saints being worn out. But we're going to get there, family. We're going to get there. I promise you. All right. Now, this was extensively laid out to be a punishment of an extensive time. Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. He shall speak great words against the Most High, and he shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change the times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times, and then the dividing of times. Now, where is Bala, which is Beth Lamed Aleph, which is to afflict in the correspondence of the mental sense. Again, we will be shown vexation. That's in the mental sense, right? And with the other primitive root word of Bala, which is Beth Lamed Hey, it is the root to fail. We have been made to fail here in America as a people. Now, they may allow some of us to become successful and rich in this economy, but it's only to show the falsehood of anybody can make it in America. It's a free market. It's this, it's that. You have to just work really hard. And that's not the case. That's not the truth. Right? Now, it's also by the implication to wear out or decay, and in the causative sense to consume. Now, afflict is to distress with mental or bodily pain, trouble greatly or grievously, and to overthrow and defeat. Some synonyms of this is to crucify, torture, beset, harass, plague, smite, persecute, torment, torture, as well as subdue, passionate, sin. Now, torture is to extreme anguish of body or mind of agony, killing off our names, language, history, culture, our blood father's name from us. Yahweh is an example of this torture. Beset is to attack on all sides and assail, to trouble greatly or grievously, to afflict with mental or physical suffering of harassment. Even as he was being beset with disasters, he triumpheth. We will still triumph. And proving this is Psalms chapter 2, verse 1 through 3, as well as Psalms 83, 1 through 5. Let's just take a look at that really quick, because it's all about making the point. I want you to know that this is the truth, all right? And the truth will set us free. Psalms chapter 2, verse 1 through 3. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? I'm going to tell you why. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Well, what kind of counsel this was? Let's get some more information about this, right? Let's get some more information about what this counsel was about and how they planned it out to make it come to pass. Psalms 83, 1 through 5. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh, and hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. A tumult is making a riot or a riot of agitation in your brain. That's what a tumult means. And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. See, a snake lifts up his head to strike. So this is the same snake in the garden that's getting ready to strike us, right, in our minds. How? Because they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Why? For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. So we are the only people who have been cut off from being that nation, right? And our name has been taken from us. And we can prove that to you really fast. Because I don't want you to think that I'm lying to you. If you know me by now, you know that I'm going to give you the whole truth. Because it's important that we know it. That's the only way we can be set free. I'm not going to hold nothing back from you. And this is another prophecy about our names being taken. And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen. For the Lord Yahweh shall slay thee and call his servants by another name. So the name you have now, if it is an American lineage name, that is not your name because you are not European. And most Europeans from the earlier colonialization were Spanish. So a lot of names you have may be connected to Spanish roots that have just been Romanized or transliterated into an English alphabetical language. So now your name went from Roberto to Robert, Timotheus to Timothy. You know what I'm saying? Lewis is German into, however they say it, and then it tells you that these are origins of European names. You are not European. You will never go to China and find a Chinese man named Michael Ben Joseph. Promise you. His name is going to be a Chinese name. You will never go to France and find a Frenchman whose name is a Hispanic name. Same for anything or any example that we choose. But we are the only people whose name was Timothy Christopher Johnson. And we take that name and we would be so proud. We standing on stage with graduation certificates, right? And we like, yeah, the Johnson family. But no, nigga, you the Johnson property because you still have that slave name that was put on you as a curse. What was your name before it was taken from you? What was your language before it was taken from you? That's what we're getting at. See, a plague is any widespread affliction. See, that our names being taken, our land being taken, our language being taken, the name of God being hidden from us, our culture being taken. See, that was a plague that afflicted all of us in a widespread sense. It was very evil, especially one regarded as a direct punishment by God. Why? Because we forfeited the contract. It's an everlasting contract, and Yahweh told us that if we break it, then he is going to dry us up out of our land and push us out. We can only be in our land when we are when we are carrying out the laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments. That's the only time we can stay on our land. But when we break it, every time in our Bible, it shows us that Israel was pushed out and put into bondage. Let's go ahead and continue. Out is away from or not in. See, we have been spread out from, right? We are no longer in our nation, our land. And we are out from the normal or usual place of where we would have come from. Our position, our state, we have been gone out and away from one's home and country, a specified state of exhaustion, extinction, depletion, no longer having or holding our job or our public office as ruler. We are a people destroyed by our actions of adultery, marrying ourselves to false gods, celebrating false calendars, praising false names of the days of the week, having the audacity, right, to praise false holidays, homonyms of holidays. For these crimes we are guilty of committing. We have been driven out after being told by Yahweh not to do these things. But we show more signs of further rebellion because the people still do these things. It's like when in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 42 and 43, right? Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldeans was pushing into Jerusalem, right? Because we've been partaking in heathen activities. And Yahweh has caused Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon's army, the Chaldeans to come in and to start destroying Israel and pushing us out. Those who would be killed was killed. Those who were going into captivity in the Chaldeans and in Assyria and all of that was being pushed. And the people went to Jeremiah of Judah, right? Because Jeremiah's from the tribe of Judah. And they're like, yo, Jeremiah, what should we do? Go, please. We're gonna give you all this supplication to give to Yahweh to pray for us. And whatever Yahweh say to do, we're gonna do it because we know that Yahweh has our best interest at heart. And Jeremiah said, okay, I got you. Let me go do that real quick. He takes all the supplication. He go pray to Yahweh. And 10 days later, 10 in our Hebrew language represents the letter Yud, right? Which is also the word Yud, which is the omnipresent and omnipotent word, because Yud is what makes every Hebrew alphabet. So that's why it's omnipresent and omnipotent, which is the very spiritual essence of Yahweh himself. Praise Yahweh. So after 10 days, Yahweh comes and he talks to Jeremiah, and he tells him, stay in the land of Judah. If anyone knows the map of the old days, the kingdom of Israel was northern Israel or Palestine, and Judah was southern Palestine. He says, stay in the land of Judah and you will be safe. I'll have Nebuchadnezzar, he's my servant. I'll have him have mercy upon you, and you will stay in your land. Everything will be good. It'll be great. And we can forget this whole thing even happened. But if you decide not to listen to me and you try to turn your face and run into Egypt, then I'm going to have Nebuchadnezzar come into Egypt, and they're going to smite you in Egypt with pestilence, famine, and you still going to go to captivity. And then the ones who told you to go and lie on my name, well, guess what? They're going to be appointed to death. So Jeremiah told them all of that, and they said, oh, man, Jeremiah, you lying. You are a liar, sir. Yahweh didn't say that. He said to go into Egypt, because we don't want to hear war. We don't want to hear the trumpet. We don't want to see the famine. We're going to go into Egypt, and guess what happened? Yahweh said, okay. Sit Nebuchadnezzar right on over there. And if you read Daniel, we was in Babylon after that. You know, because again, we lied. Our people are known, you know, to say they're going to do something to try to make someone all buttered up to believe them, so that they can get that part of the deal, whatever happened, without having to give their portion. And then they back out, they backslide. You know, we are professional backsliders now, and we need to quit that job, and we need to stand on foundation with strong support as the palaces, right? So, but we're going to get to all that. I don't want you to think that I'm out here speaking from my mouth, right? But just give me a second. So, and Jeremiah 42, I'm going to read those scriptures to you so you know I'm not lying. Then all the captains of the forces of Jehohanan, the son of Kiddah, and Yezaniah, the son of Hoshaiah, and all the people from the least even unto the greatest came near. And they said unto Yirmiyahu the prophet, let, we beseech thee, our supplications be accepted before thee, and pray for us unto our Lord, our God, thy God, Yahweh, even for all of this remnant, for we are left but a few of many, as thy eyes do behold us, that the Lord Yahweh thy God may show us the way wherein we may walk, and the things that we may do. And Yirmiyahu the prophet said unto them, I have heard you. Behold, I will pray unto the Lord your God, Yahweh, according to your words. And it shall come to pass that whatsoever thing the Lord Yahweh ben Yahweh shall answer you, I will declare it unto you, and I will keep nothing back from you. Then they said to Yirmiyahu, the Lord Yahweh be a truthful and faithful witness between us, if we do not according to all the things for which the Lord thy God Yahweh shall send thee to us, whether it be good or whether it be evil, we will obey the voice of the Lord our God Yahweh, to whom we send thee, that it may be well with us when we obey the voice of the Lord our God Yahweh. And it came to pass after 10 days that the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto Yirmiyahu and said, say this unto these people, that the God of Israel, Yahweh, whom unto you sent me to present these supplications before him, say this, if ye will still abide in this land, then I will build you and not pull you down, and I will plant you and not pluck you up. For I repent me of the evil that I have done unto you. Be not afraid of king of the Babylonians, of whom ye are afraid. Yahweh said it twice. He said, be not afraid of him, because I am going to save you and deliver you from his hand. And I will show mercy unto you, that he may have mercy upon you, and cause you to return to your own land. But if ye say, we will not dwell in this land, neither obey the voice of our God Yahweh, saying, no, but we will go into the land of Egypt, where shall see no war, nor hear the sound of the trumpet, nor have hunger of bread, and there we will dwell. And now, therefore, hear the word of the Lord Yahweh, ye remnant of Yehudah. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, the God of Israel, if ye wholly set your faces to enter into Egypt and go to be a by-dweller there, that's what sojourn means. Sojourn means a by-dweller. Guess what? Ye shall die. So shall it be with all the men that set their faces to go into Egypt to sojourn there. They shall die by the sword, by famine, by pestilence, and none of them shall remain or escape from the evil that I will bring upon them. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, as my anger and my fury have been poured forth upon the inhabitants. What did pour mean? Any loose particles poured or falling from one container down to the next, meaning we're going to be descending, right? And not only will we be descending down, but these curses will be spreading over a course of time, right? The Lord Yahweh said concerning you, you remnant of Yehudah, go ye not into Egypt. Know certainly that I have admonished you this day. That means I have told you with great care and sincerity this day. Right? For ye dissembled in your hearts when ye sent me unto the Lord your God Yahweh, saying, pray for us unto the Lord our God, and according to unto all the things that Yahweh shall say, so declare unto us, and we shall do it. And now I have this day declared it to you, but ye have not obeyed the voice of the Lord your God Yahweh, nor anything for the which he hath sent me unto you. Now, therefore, know certainly that ye shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence, and in the place whither you desire to go, to be a foreigner. It shall come to pass that when Yirmiyahu, and it came to pass, this is chapter 43, and it came to pass that when Yirmiyahu had made an end of speaking unto all the people, all the words of the Lord their God Yahweh, for which the Lord their God Yahweh has sent him to them, even all of these words, then spake Azariah the son of Hoshaiah, and Jehohanan the son of Kiddah, and all the proud men, saying unto Yirmiyahu, thou speakest falsely. You don't know what he's talking about. The Lord our God hath not sent thee to say, go not into Egypt, to sojourn there, but Baruch the son of Nerdah setteth thee on against us, for to deliver us into the hands of the Chaldeans, that they may put us to death and carry us away captive into Babylon. So Jehohanan the son of Kiddah and the captains of the forces and all the people obeyed not the voice of the Lord Yahweh, to dwell in the land of Judah. But Jehohanan the son of Kiddah and all the captains of the forces took all the remnant of Judah that were returned from all the nations, whither they had been driven, to dwell in the land of Judah, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will send Nebuchadnezzar to take the king of Babylon, my servant, and will set his throne upon these stones that I have hid, and he shall spread his royal pavilion over them. And when he cometh, he shall smite the land of Egypt, and deliver such as are for death to death, and such as for captivity to captivity, and such as are for the sword to sword. Because we went into Egypt anyway. Another definition of empty is to be destitute of some quality or qualities, to be devoid, and is usually followed with without knowledge or sense, frivolousness, senseless, the lack of knowledge, right? Of our true collective history, and this physiology has changed our functioning and activities of our life. Give me a second, family. Had to turn the heat on. Isaiah chapter 3 verse 8. For Jerusalem is ruined and Yehudah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord Yahweh, to provoke the eyes of his glory. Verse 9. They show off their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Isaiah 5:13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity. Praise Yahweh. I hope y'all can still hear me. Therefore, my people are going into captivity because they have no knowledge. Their honorable men are famished, and their multitudes are dried up with thirst. Miss Pika, can y'all still hear me, family? Hey, how you doing today, Kendall? Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Stutter2683. Can y'all still hear me? Thumbs up? I hope so. Help for review. Okay. Let's just see. I want to just make sure real quick before we continue to march on. All right. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. Therefore hell hath enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory and their multitude, their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. A people who are in darkness, blind and blindfolded in darkness, with no knowledge that they are in darkness, just completely oblivious to our own reality. The psychology is all messed up because we chose to follow after the heathen ways of life, as well as praise false prophets amongst ourselves and gods of the heathen, who holidays like the Saturnalia, which is Christmas nowadays, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Easter's, New Year's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July, and birthdays are all these tricks to get you to praise the creature and to spend your money. What's peculiar about this here is that our people tend to hearken to fake, false storytelling liars of darkness than the actual messengers of Yahweh or even Yahweh himself. Always a remnant who does while others just eventually follow the true bull to the slaughter. Wow. Now, the depopulating sense is in the ruining of the population. We have been ruined, right? It is a desecration. We have been diverted from a sacred position to a profane use or position or purpose. We have been despoiled, which is to strip of our possessions of things of value. We have been robbed, we have plundered, and we have been pillaged. By using music to promote gun violence against brother and brother, drug plug music to make fiends out of the rest, and adultery music to break up the family, the heathen ways of porneia, then they go, and then they got the rest of us following their religions. What a hefty trick of snares we have fallen into. Porneia is where porn comes from. It's a Greek word. It's actually a Greek thing. And it's in general terms covering various sinful sexual behaviors, including adultery, prostitution, lust, potentiality of idolatry, and serves as a catch-all for sexual transgressions against God's design. Porneia in the Greek reference is 4202, which is the harlotry, including adultery and incest. Figuratively, idolatry, fornication, and to act as the harlot, that is in the literal sense of indulging in unlawful lust of either sex, or in the figurative matter of practices of idolatry, is committing fornication of a strumpet, figuratively an idolater, an harlot and whore, is to sell akin to the base of a male prostitute as a venal, that is by the analogy of a debauchee of libertine, of the fornicators of whoremongers, to traffic by traveling, that is disposed of as a merchandise or into slavery, literally or figuratively. Sale, like the fancy trades during the slavery of the European slave owners, would have prostitution rings of our black Hebrew sisters being used for lustrous ways, to pierce. Through as an adverb or preposition that is across, beyond, farther, other side, over, and by being taught this nature, we know that we now do this to ourselves. Who would have thought, right? Now we went fourth, right? Fourth is shua, which is sheen wav hey, which is the primitive root of properly being leveled. See, that is equalized, figuratively to resemble by implication. We have been made to resemble the heathen, but the Bible tells us that we will be made twofold more the child of the devil himself. Matthew 23:15. The enemies of Israel make fools of us because they allow for some of us to get rich and to get into some political offices that attempt to dispel the downplay scenario of unfairness by saying, see, everyone has an equal opportunity in America if you just apply yourself real hard and learn the heathen knowledge, then you can live this American unconsciousness called a dream. And like fools in darkness who learn to call evil good and good evil, we go for it, knowing that they are the ones to kill all the black leaders who would not fold to the hidden deals. They were being offered to halt their movements and were killed, and even taken into consideration that these are the same ones responsible for Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre that killed over 2,000 Hebrew black people, who have built a better Wall Street and other countless cities throughout American history, and they don't want to teach you in black history. From the resources of the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, lynchings and massacres in Memphis, Wilmington, Tulsa was just a few of the violent suppressive incidents that took place in the land of the free. In some instances, after a lynching, black people were simply banished from their homes and their property confiscated. Some of these instances are documented and many are not. After the passage of the 13th Amendment, African American people, or the true Hebrew Israelite people, right, did all they could to thrive, including opening banks, starting businesses, engaging in civil life. White supremacists were not prepared for us, and how quickly our progression would be, as well as the federal government. So after the Reconstruction was not to incline or to protect black rights, thus these were thousands of lynchings used to intimidate and respond to black economic progress. Racist legislators were also more than willing to use public policies as a tool for subjugation, like the Homestead Act of 1862, which distributed to hundreds of millions of acres to white immigrants, but formerly enslaved people were unable to get a fraction of that land. Depression-era economic considerations often excluded African American people. Post-World War II legislation, as they didn't drafted all of us to go fight for their war again, right? Check this out. Post-War II or World War II legislation that it provided education and housing possibilities for whites, all too often exclude black people, with federal sponsored redlining encouraging segregated housing. They created the VA home loans around that time after World War II. Again, and then they only gave it to the Europeans. And they made our soldiers who got done, the Tulsa pilots and all of that, and got all these, the Tuskegee Airmen and all of this stuff. They came home, they couldn't even get a house. Imagine fighting for a country in a world war, and then you get home, you made it through all of this violence, seen all this destruction and death and hurt and pain, poverty, probably missing limbs, best friends died, and you come home and they still calling you a nigga. And not only that, you can't even get a house because they didn't cut you up out of this GI Bill. You're like, what happened? Wilmington on fire. The Wilmington Massacre of 1898 were a bloody attack of the African American or Hebrew Israelite community by a heavily armed white mob with the support of the Northern Carolina Democratic Party on November 10th, 1898, in the port city of Wilmington, North Carolina. It is considered one of the only successful examples of a violent overthrow of an existing government and left countless numbers of African American dead and exiled from the city, who are the ones responsible for flooding the streets of the Red Line neighborhood. They called the projects with cocaine during the Contra Connection. The Contra Connection, or the Dark Alliance series, from August 18th to the 20th of 1996, in the San Jose Mercury News published the Dark Alliance series by Gary Webb, which claimed for the better part of a decade a San Francisco Bay Area drug ring sold tons of cocaine to Crips and Blood street gangs of Los Angeles and funneled millions in drug profits to the Latin American guerrilla army run by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. This drug ring opened the first pipeline between the Colombian cocaine cartels in the black neighborhoods of Los Angeles, and as a result, the cocaine that flooded in helped spark a crack explosion in the urban America to support their claims, as well as the series focused on three men: Ricky Ross, Oscar Danilo Bladen, and Norwin Menendez. According to the series, Ross was a major drug dealer in Los Angeles. Bladen and Menendez were from the Nicaraguans who smuggled drugs into the U.S. Supply dealers like Rick Ross was described. I'm talking about the real Rick Ross now, not the rapper. Straight. Just wanted to get it out there. Right? Supply Rick Ross was described as a disillusioned 19-year-old who at the dawn of the 1980s found himself adrift on the streets of South Central Los Angeles. And the series alleges that Ross's suppliers had special relationships with the Contras as well as the CIA, and the law enforcement agencies failed to successfully prosecute them, largely due to the Contra and CIA connections. Now, Webb claimed that the connection between the groups was found of the Contras' revolt against the Nicaraguans, which was the leftist government, and he concluded that Bladen worked with Ricky Ross to supply cocaine and low-cost crack to an untapped market of poor black citizens of Los Angeles. The Mercury News claimed that the drug dealers connected to the Contras were immune to investigation, with the implication that they was being protected by the CIA, and the paper also contended that the DEA, Customs Bureau, the Los Angeles County Sheriff of the U.S. Congress were all denied information from the CIA during an inquiry into the dealers' connection parties. Now, the key individuals of the connections to the Contras affairs, all of this goes into what we're talking about, showing these plagues and curses have been put on us, right? We're going to get to it, as you're hearing, right? Now, the key individuals of their connections to the Contra affairs: David C. McMichael, an intelligence analyst who resigned from the CIA in 1983, publicly stated that the administrative claims of major military interventions being planned and directed from Nicaragua were false and based on flimsy grounds. He testified about his CIA work at the International Court of Justice, which eventually ruled in favor of the Nicaragua against the U.S. for violating international laws. He was classified as a whistleblower. They said, snitch. You snitch. How you gonna snitch on us? That's what they said. Gary Webb, an investigative journalist for the San Jose Mercury News, who in 1996 series titled Dark Alliance linked the CIA-backed Contras to the crack cocaine epidemic in Los Angeles. Webb's reporting faced a significant slander campaign from major news outlets, but subsequent government reports and declassified documents later confirmed that the U.S. officials were aware of Contra involvement in drug trafficking. They were trying to crucify this man. They were trying to crucify this man for telling the truth. Melvin Goodman was a former CIA analyst and division chief who resigned in 1986 due to his growing frustration with the politicization of the intelligence and deliberating of disseminating of the misinformation, particularly regarding the Iraq-Contra scandal. He later testified at the congressional hearing, charging high-ranking officers like Robert Gates with downplaying their knowledge of the affair. Oliver North, a central figure in the Iran-Contra affairs, North was National Security Council staffer who helped run the illegal operation to covertly fund the Contras using proceeds from arms sales to Iran, bypassing congressional bans and the Bolin amendments. In his detailed notes were collecting evidence during the investigation. So we just seeing here that how our neighborhoods was impacted by drugs of cocaine. Co means working with, cane, have hit us in the head and caused us to become even more ravenous in living due to our circumstances of being in a place where we are faced with plagues, being attacked on all sides, of being in the physical sense, or even in the figurative sense, or even in the knowledge sense. We have been attacked. So we need to stand firm and stand strong and come back into the knowledge of Yahweh. And again, and this is why myself personally, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to again still be posting up videos for the DVDs, but I want to make sure that I have all my lion cubs in a row so that I could be that lion of the tribe of Judah that I know I am destined to be. So on that note, we're going to have to pause it right there. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Nichab, Mishpaka, which is I love you, family. May Yahweh bless you. May Yahweh Ben Yahweh bless you. Stay strong, stay kind, and let's get to righteousness. Praise Yahweh.